Well, folks, it's time for more custom Hearthstone cards, and with the impending reveal of the final Colossal minion from Sunken City, I asked all of you to make some Colossal cards. So in this video, I picked a handful that I thought explored some really cool mechanics that we haven't really seen from the official Colossal cards so far. Like this cool guy, Trigor the Lasher, created by Chegwin. This could be what the Hunter Colossal minion looks like. He's a Colossal +2. He has +1 attack for each Trigor's head that you control. So he's summoning 2 Trigor's heads on his own, but these have their own special death rattle. If you control Trigor the Lasher, summon 2 1/3 Trigor's heads. So if you're able to kill off the heads while the body is still alive, they're gonna duplicate. And I love this is like, you know, classic Hydra action. This is exactly what you expect out of a Hydra regrowing its heads, and I think this is a really cool way to do it. And the fact that Trigor sort of scales up as well based on the number of heads on boards gives you a nice reward on top of that. Minus just, you know, some 1/3s, which aren't that exciting, but you start fueling the Trigor to potentially pump out a lot more damage. So obviously, if you have ways to proc your own death rattles, trade off these minions, you might be able to do some really cool stuff. Now, I will say, like, Trigor has a bit of a cap here. You know, max, you're going to have 6 other Trigor's heads on board, so he's going to be like a 7/9 best case, which I do wish there was some way to, like, help him scale permanently. Maybe, like, he gains attack for each one that has died, so you create some real shenanigans in this real threat on board, as opposed to something that's kind of coming and going from a strength aspect. That would be my only change here, but otherwise, I think this is a really cool execution of the Hydra effect, of Colossal synergy upside based on the minions on board, and of course, just really fitting for Hunter as well, being a beast and having death rattle synergies on top of that. All right, so next up here's Reef Lord Fijian from KBS 1224, and this is a really cool warrior Colossal minion. The body parts on this one are basically a shield and a weapon, which I thought was a really cool take on this. So Fijian is a Colossal +2, and he reads, if Fijian's shield and trident are absent from the field, go dormant for 1 turn. So this also pulls in the diver style effect we saw in some of those diver cycle of cards where they go dormant and then they resummon. And the cool thing about Colossal minions is if they resummon, presumably the shield and trident are going to resummon with it, because anytime you summon Colossal minions, they bring their body parts with them. So the idea here is if you're fighting against Reef Lord Fijian and he loses his shield and trident in battle, they're destroyed in battle, he's gonna dive underwater, maybe do some magical stuff, I don't know, maybe just he's got a stash down there. He's gonna grab another shield and trident and rise back to the surface with the shield and trident ready to go again, which is so freaking cool from a like storyline standpoint for this card. Now, the shield itself is going to have just a 0/5 body with taunt and a buff on Fijian, and then the trident is a 5/3, 3 health there for the trident aspect. I like it. And it's going to buff Fijian +5 attack. So as you play Fijian, you might be able to trade in the trident immediately, then kind of rely on your opponent to clear the shield before they can get to Fijian. So he might be like a 5/10 on board. Basically, they clear the shield, he's gonna go dormant, come back up, they got the same problem again. So it's another one of those cards where they have to snipe Fijian before they kill the other stuff on board, which could be sometimes problematic or difficult to do. It reminds me a little bit of, say, the Warlock official Colossal in that regard, but I don't know if this card's strong enough, honestly. It's like 10 mana is pretty expensive, but from a storyline standpoint, man, the theme of this one is really, really cool, and I think executes well on kind of 2 different aspects that we've seen in Sunken City so far, both Colossal and the dormant diving minions as well. All right, next up here, we got a nice card from Magic Milk. This is the Maiden's Virtue, 5 mana 0/6, Colossal +1, taunt for Warlock, and it reads, the Maiden's Curse summons on your opponent's side of the board. And the Maiden's Curse, as you can see here, is a demon that has exploded up, extending out of the Maiden's Virtue, which is the ship. This does borrow some artwork, of course, from Dead Mines, but that's okay. Really cool execution here. And he's going to read at the start of your turn, add an Abyssal Curse to your hand. So basically, you're summoning a minion for your opponent with this downside of giving them an Abyssal Curse if they can't kill off the Maiden's Curse, and he does have 6 health, so it might be a little awkward to deal with. And you do have the Maiden's Virtue with Taunt to kind of give you some time, perhaps. So this is a slow burn Abyssal Curse builder, which is great to tie in, I think, that synergy from Sunken City. But I really just like the vertical art aspect of this one. We've got all these Colossal minions which extend their art horizontally, which is awesome. I love that. But this extends the art vertically because you're summoning it for your opponent, which is just such a great idea and execution of the Colossal art theme for that. So I don't know if this card's strong enough. Still not buying into the Abyssal Curse stuff, but it definitely delivers on theme. It delivers on a cool spin on the art side of things. So all in all, this is just like an A+ design. Next up here, we've got Nalus Hydra Queen from Huge Munchkin. This is another spin on the Hydra angle, but this is cool because it starts out at Colossal +0. So you play Nalus Hydra Queen to start, you get nothing. It's just a +0, but it's going to upgrade each time you play Nalus, and it has a Death Rattle to shuffle back into your deck. So you play Nalus, your opponent kills it, you get it back, you play it. This time you're going to get a Hydra Head, which is a 6/6 with Taunt, and that shuffles a copy of Hydra Queen into your deck. So basically, now you have 2 extra shuffles that go back into your deck. And the next Nalus you play is going to summon 2 Hydra Heads. Then you have 3 shuffles that go into your deck. And it's this recursive just scaling up to eventually 7, of course, where your board is full and you summon a bunch of 6/6s every turn, and your deck is just constantly refilling with Nalus. So it's got this kind of anti-fatigue aspect, this Hydra, doubling aspect, or even beyond that, it's more than doubling even. And I think that's awesome. And I know that infinite stuff like that is scary with ignites and stuff, but do keep in mind the first couple of these are honestly going to be pretty slow, I think, especially that first one. You're playing a Boulder Fist Ogre Light for the first time around, and it might take a while to find the next Nalus and get that chain really going. So if you're going to have infinite resource cards like this, I think ones that aren't like Jade Idol or Ignite, where they keep getting bigger and scarier over time, but they have a kind of cap of aspects, like, yes, of course you get more and more of them on board, but they're still only going to be 6/6s. Takes a while to get that rolling. I think that's the right kind of way to do those sorts of things. So I love cards like this, right? Just a value engine, this crazy value machine, grindy kind of card. Really, really fun, just endless stuff, but still not, I would say, as oppressive as some of the other versions of this we've seen in Hearthstone in the past. So Nalus Hydra Queen's pretty dang cool. So next up here is Zalsha the Binder from Magic Milk. 6 mana, 3/6 beast for Rogue, and it's like a big spider thing. I don't know, some kind of crazy, scary bug thing. Colossal +2, whenever your opponent plays a card, shuffle a 1-cost copy into your deck. So this is a bit like a Keymaster Alabaster, but instead of getting it in hand, it's going to get it in deck, and it's play a card instead of draw a card. So you plop this down, you hope your opponent has to do a few things to deal with it, essentially, and then you get all these nice 1-mana cards in your deck, a la Academic Espionage, but probably better cards than average, because there's stuff that your opponent's playing. And to tie that into your Colossal minions, the prey here are Taunt, Death Rattle, draw 2 cards that didn't start in your deck. So as your opponent is kind of working through all these different pieces and trying to kill everything, they might be shuffling a couple cards into your deck. Then the prey is going to help you draw those cards that you just shuffled. So hopefully you get them immediately, or of course you could have some other mechanism you're trying to work through to get cards out of your deck that you shuffled in there. Burst damage, whatever it might be, bleeds, who knows, right? But the prey help you find the cards from Zalsha, theoretically. So I like this because we've seen a few Colossals that are all about sniping the body from behind the body parts. And I think this one's a really cool way to create more friction around that. Basically, okay, play cards to do that, but I'm going to get some upside. I'm going to be able to punish that in a way because I'm drawing these really efficient cards out of my deck. Whereas in most other cases we've seen so far, in the official cards like Warlocks, Murloc, for instance, there's not really a downside if they can manage to do it. This one creates a little bit of downside and friction, which I think would increase its competitiveness a little bit, but also just creates more fun moments, a little bit more of that back and forth on board, which I think some Colossals might lack. And then finally here we have Vorloth the Star Eater from Nutter 666. This guy just looked really cool. I just thought this art looked awesome and fit so perfectly. I don't even know if I love the design so much. I think this is just really good and scary, but man, it looked epic. So Vorloth is a Colossal +2 5/5 demon. He reads, whenever an enemy minion dies, consume it and gain its stats. So this is kind of like an abominable lieutenant that's going to keep gaining stats and scaling, but you actually get 2 removals from Vorloth's tendrils here. They're each 2/2 taunts, and they read at the end of your turn, destroy your opponent's left or rightmost minion. So basically, you get a little bit of a crushing walls here with some crazy stat dump and some big stat scaling as well on Vorloth. And I think that's probably just too much, right? This just crushes Abominable Lieutenant, basically. Gives you even a little bit more influence and control, more total removal, more total base stats. Like, that's pretty scary good. Like, yeah, it's a legendary, but this would be a monster play on board. Now, I will say, I always worry that some of the Colossals are just going to end up being too expensive and too difficult to weave into decks. Having a card like this that's really ratcheting up the power level might be the sort of answer that's needed to make sure these cards actually do get played and make sense for a lot of decks. So I wonder if this kind of power level isn't necessary for Colossals. I guess we'll find out, and we'll see just how competitive they are, but perhaps they need to trend more in the direction here of Vorloth the Star Eater. That said, I still think this one's kind of crazy good, but also just looks so freaking crazy cool. And yeah, there you go, guys. That's it for the Colossal custom minions this time around. I thought we explored some really neat design ideas in these. Curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think the real Hunter Colossal is going to be? Hopefully inside of 24 hours, we'll know what that one looks like. But thanks for spending some time, once again, reviewing these custom cards. Thanks for your submissions. I guess check the description down below for the next custom card submission. I haven't figured out what that is just yet, but I'll figure something out, and appreciate you submitting some more cool designs. So all that said, thanks so much as always for watching, and until next time, game on.